Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Rothschild, and today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 tips for how to rock your resume. I am an HR consultant with Smithworth Consulting. I have over 7 years of HR experience. A lot of that experience was functioning as an HR department of one. So if it had anything to do with HR, I did it. I am also SHRM certified, which is one of the national HR standards. I have a master's of science in leadership and human resources development. I also have over 4 years of teaching experience, a bachelor's in education. And what I do is I specialize in building HR departments from the ground up, consulting with organizations on training, design, and development, and I work with individuals that find themselves in a career transition. So, before we get started, I want you to pause this video and go follow me on social media. Smithworth Consulting has a Facebook and LinkedIn profile page. And then I also have my own LinkedIn personal page. So feel free to follow me. I'd love to connect with you. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to be giving you my top 5 resume tips. The first one is going to be honest. That is going to be a huge one. If you don't take anything else away from today other than that, that's what you need to take away. Be honest. And then also, I will talk to you about how to keep your resume streamlined and professional, what qualifications and references you can list, how to talk about your past projects and job experiences, and lastly, we'll talk about transferable and soft skills. So, as I mentioned before, be honest. This is critical. You do not need to inflate your job title. Do not change your dates of employment or any responsibilities you had, because that is a huge red flag. I had a candidate who had an amazing resume, then they rocked the interview and did awesome. So we had offered them the job and then went back to check their references and their past employment history. And then we found out that they were dishonest with us. So we ended up not moving forward with that candidate. Whereas if they would have been upfront with us to begin with, even though they didn't have quite as much experience as we were looking for, we would have still hired them anyway. So honesty is the best policy here. And then many companies are looking for integrity. Yes, they're looking for your work experience, but they're also looking for your character. So just be honest. That is one simple thing you can do. And you also want to keep your resume streamlined and professional. You want to make sure you are using consistent fonts and sizes. That is not to say everything has to be the exact same font and the exact same size. You're not going to want to do that. When you have your name on your resume, you want that to be big and you want it to stand out. But just make sure your job titles, your descriptions underneath, it's all consistent. That is a small thing you can do to have your resume really look professional. When you include your contact information, the two main things are going to be your email and phone number. You can include your LinkedIn profile. You don't have to, but you're welcome to. I also see some people add their address or their city and state. You are welcome to do this. However, I want you to just keep in mind, if you are looking to relocate somewhere, that may hinder some of your opportunities, because somebody can look at your resume and be like, oh, this is a great resume, but oh, well, they live kind of far away. That's a 2-hour drive. I don't know if they'd be willing to do that. And, without you being there to tell them your story of, hey, I am going to relocate, or hey, I don't mind making that drive, etc. So just keep that in mind. Then also make sure you use concise language. We don't want all these run on rambling sentences. Just keep it concise. And then proofread. Make sure you proofread your resume. This is also one small thing that you can do that shows your ability to pay attention to detail, and it makes it look professional. Now, if you have been looking at your resume for hours and you're just like, oh, I can't do it anymore, then walk away and come back. You need to approach it with a fresh mind. Sometimes you just need to walk away for a few minutes, or sleep on it and come back, or send it to a friend or family member, have them look at it, but just make sure you proofread. These are just small things you can do that really elevates your resume. And then your qualifications that you want to list are going to be education. I want you to list your education even if you did not finish your degree. I'm going to say that again because it's important. List your education even if you didn't finish your degree. And I will tell you why. If you got, say, halfway through your degree, that is still about 60 hours worth of college credit course that you've gotten through, and it can actually elevate your pay range. So put that on there, please. I actually had a client, she got about halfway through her business degree, then she needed to move home and really help her family with their business. So she not only had the degree piece, she had the hands-on experience, and she made that a talking point in her interview. So when she got the interview, she talked about it and she owned that story. So that's what you need to do. Own it. Be confident. Think about how you can make that a talking point when you get the interview. Also, for your education, you do not need to include the date you finished school. It's not necessary. It can hinder you, and I'll tell you a few ways of why that can really hinder you. So one is going to be if you just graduated, people are going to see you as, oh, they just graduated, they'll work for a lower rate. So that can hinder your earning potential. Also, if you have a ton of experience and you graduated 20 years ago or whatnot, some people can look at that and be like, oh, well, they graduated a while ago, they have a lot of experience, they must want a lot of money, without even talking to you. So just make sure you just put your education. You don't need the year. Also, any awards you've earned, put that on there. Any professional organizations that you're a member of or certifications you have, and any volunteer activities that you do. Put that on your resume. Volunteerism is showing your ability to go above and beyond. It's going to make you stand out. And I actually worked for a company that gave us one paid day a year to go and volunteer out in the community. So that is something that can set you apart. So make sure you put that on your resume. For references, the standard is typically going to be references available upon request. That's really what most people are going to put on their resume. The only time that I recommend you actually add references on your resume is if you are entering the workforce after a long period of absence. I'm not talking months, I'm talking years. So if you've entered the workforce after a long period of absence, or if you're breaking into a new field. Say, for example, you worked in the restaurant industry while you were finishing up your degree, and now you're going to the medical field. So you want to list some references there. I recommend 3 references. If you can find somebody that you know in the field you're going into, or somebody with a similar job title, you can, and they're willing to be a reference for you, put them. If you are just finishing up school and breaking into a new field, use a professor. See if they will be a reference for you. If you can't find anybody like that, that's okay. I want you to put a coworker that you worked with that could really vouch for your work ethic. And then the second reference I want you to put is going to be an old boss or a manager. Um, and then the third one is going to be somebody that can vouch for your character. So a lot of this is about work and work ethic and experience, but a lot of times now companies are looking at you for your character. So find somebody that you know that can really vouch for you. When it comes to our job descriptions, we really want to keep it simple. I want you to include the dates, so the month and year. It does not have to be exact. I want you to do the absolute best you can with this. Do not stress out if you find out, or if you don't know. Maybe you're like a month or 2 off. That's not a red flag for me. Now, if you said you were somewhere for 5 years and you were only there for 2, yeah, that's a red flag. So just do the best you can with that. And then if you had the same company, but you got promoted or you switched departments, put your different job titles under the company. And then you're going to talk about your main responsibilities or duties. So I usually recommend we keep this to about 3 bullet points, no more than 5, because too many details can be very overwhelming. I've seen amazing people that were so qualified, but their resume was like tons of paragraphs and it was really hard to read. So make sure you bullet point 3 to 5 main things. Now, if you want to go into more detail, that is absolutely fine. We can add a page 2. So everything we talked about so far is going to be the meat of your resume, and it's going to be on the first page. You really need to keep it to 1 page, because if it's all on 1 page, it's easy on the eyes. I get the whole picture and I'm not having to scroll through 3, 4, 5, 10 pages. Now, as I mentioned, if you want to go into more detail, that's fine. We'll add a page 2 and we'll talk about our past projects that we've done. So these are going to be more detailed than your job descriptions. And we use the CAR method. So that's going to be challenge, action, result. So I will give you a brief example. When I worked in the corporate world, I worked for an organization of 30,000 or so people, which is a ton. So I had one small piece of HR. I was in charge of onboarding. And what that means is after somebody accepted their offer with the recruiters, they came to me and I got everything together, did background checks, made sure they were good to go before they started on their first day. So a challenge we were really facing was there was a lack of communication of what our department specifically did in regards to onboarding. And our recruiters didn't know all of the necessary information they needed. So that really resulted in a lot of miscommunication, and we weren't giving our candidates the best possible experience, which is something we strived for. So I decided to take action. I went to my manager and I told him, look, this has been a pain point I've been noticing for a little while. I would love to put together a training and get with a recruiting team and just show them our piece of the puzzle so that we can streamline our process. They understand it better. We understand their piece better. So I did. I worked with my team and we put that together and I presented it at the staff meeting. The result of that was our process became much more efficient and streamlined. Was it perfect? No. No process is ever going to be perfect, but it was much better than what it was. So that is just a brief example of the CAR method. And you can also include volunteer work. If you organize a trash cleanup day in your community, put that on there. That counts. And like I said, that volunteerism is really going to make you stand out because it's showing you can go above and beyond. The last thing I'm going to talk to you about today is going to be those transferable or soft skills. So, I want you to think about things that can be translated across different industries. So I had a client who was in the restaurant industry while he was finishing up school and then was transitioning to engineering. And he's like, oh, these have nothing to do with each other. And really when we dug deeper, they did, because these are skills that are going to be important in almost every job. Time management, the ability to communicate with people, work together, multitasking. If you have any leadership or management experience or even skills, put that on your resume. Problem solving is another great one. So just think of the things that you are really great at that can be transferred across different industries. Now, if you are not good at time management, do not put that on your resume. Leave it off. It's okay. I know you can find some other transferable and soft skills you can add. So, those are my top 5 tips. Now I'm going to show you an example of a resume. So, as you can see, our page 1 is the meat of the resume. We have our contact information. We have our education, any skills or qualifications. We have professional organizations. You can add awards here, of course. Volunteerism. That is all on one small piece of the resume, but it looks concise, it looks streamlined, it looks professional, and we are maximizing our space when we do this. Instead of listing it out, if we would have listed these out without putting that small column in there, our resume would be pages long. So really think about how you can maximize your space on your resume. And then we have a professional summary. That's usually about 2 to 3 sentences. And then your experience. So that's your job title, your company, the dates, and then 3 to 5 brief bullet points. Now, you want to go into more detail. That's great. Add it on the second page. Put your key accomplishments. This is where you can talk about your projects and how you use the CAR method. These can be more than 3 bullet points. I have 3 here just as a sample, but on my personal resume, I think one of my projects has 5 bullet points because I needed more bullets to talk about the action and the challenge. So this is just a sample of what a resume that's streamlined, professional, honest, and has all the necessary information. This is what it looks like. Now, if this is something that you are still struggling with, there's information overload, you don't know where to start, please reach out to me. I would love to help you. I know right now with the global pandemic we have going on, we are living in some strange times and it's tough. And I get that. I know lots of people, unfortunately, that have been affected by the economic downturn and are looking for jobs. So I would love to help you. So if this is something that you're struggling with and you need help, please, please, please reach out to me. I want to help you. I want to help you succeed and do well and land that interview of your dream job. So I hope my 5 tips for rocking your resume was helpful to you. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.